They were just two kids with a broken phone and a limping dog.
Are you okay?
But when they found a dying officer in the woods, what they did next changed everything. He'd been left for dead. No backup, no radio, just blood on the leaves and the silent hush of red-leaf forest swallowing his breath. Deputy Cole Maddox had uncovered something dangerous, and someone wanted him silenced. But fate wasn't finished with him yet. Two 10-year-old girls, Willa and June Fairweather, identical twins in thrifted jackets and muddy boots, wandered the woods that October afternoon with their old flip phone, a notebook of dreams, and Rusty, their half-limping German shepherd who once failed rescue training but never failed them. Rusty stopped mid-trail, ears up, and barked once, sharp and urgent, before sprinting off the path. The girls followed instinctively, breath-catching, hearts hammering. And there he was, slumped under a red maple, blood-pooling, uniform torn. Deputy Maddox was alive, barely. Willa didn't hesitate. She dropped to her knees, scarf in hand, pressing into the wound. June's fingers shook as she dialed 911, voice cracking as she begged for help. "They said 20 minutes," she whispered, but 20 minutes could be too long. Together they fashioned a crude tourniquet, hands slick with blood, whispering over and over, "Hold on." Rusty lay at Cole's feet, still as stone, eyes never leaving the girls, as if he too was praying. Back in town, Maris Fairweather, a tired mother juggling overdue bills and fading dreams, sat hunched over her kitchen table when the call came. "Your daughters found Deputy Maddox. They're safe." Relief flooded her body, colliding with guilt. How had her children learned to save a life? She hadn't taught them. She could barely keep the oven working, let alone afford first aid classes. But they knew. Somehow they knew. In the forest, the sirens grew louder, closer. EMTs swept in, voices calm but urgent. One looked at the twins and said, "You just saved a man's life." June blinked. Really? And in that simple word lived the heartbeat of the entire town. The next day, frost glazed the windows as the small apartment filled with the aroma of kettle steam and sleep-warm pajamas. A knock at the door brought Detective Monroe, a quiet woman with sharp eyes and steady words, who came not just to confirm a report, but to honor a truth, that sometimes bravery wears mittens and muddy boots. That evening, the town watched Willa and June's story on the local news. No dramatics. Just the quiet recounting of two girls who said, "No one should be left alone like that," and somehow the whole town heard it. Still, something darker lingered beneath the surface. Deputy Maddox hadn't just stumbled into trouble. He had been tracking illegal logging and firearms trade deep within the forest, a secret assignment he'd followed against orders. His injuries weren't random. Detective Monroe reviewed the evidence. Old radios, tire tracks, weapon fragments, and couldn't shake the feeling. Someone in Alder Glen, someone respected, knew more than they were saying. Meanwhile, back in their tiny apartment, Willa tucked the notebook entry, "South Trail, Rusty reactive, blood found," into her shoebox of important things. Later, Monroe received another call. The girls had found a rusted barrel and odd scent markers near Miller's Hollow. Monroe and Cole, recovering but determined, returned to that same trail under cover of night. There, buried beneath vines, they found a cracked two-way radio with the initials GM. "My father's," Cole whispered. George Maddox had disappeared 2 decades ago. Monroe crouched low, tracking faint boot prints and drag marks. "This is bigger than your shooting," she said. "This is history waking up." Back at the station, Sergeant Corian, once Cole's father's mentor, confirmed it. Secrets don't stay buried, even in small towns, he muttered, holding the radio like it might bite. But life pushed on. In the Fairweather kitchen, the oven flickered back to life with the combined effort of stubborn hands, a grease-stained manual, and Rusty curled nearby, tail thumping in encouragement. A knock brought a delivery box of apple crumble, a receipt scribbled with a note, "For your grandmother's favorite." No one recognized the handwriting. It didn't matter. They baked. They healed. In another corner of town, a community gym transformed into a celebration. Junior Lifesaver Program. The banner read. Kids sat cross-legged as Cole, now recovered, addressed them. Sometimes heroes don't carry badges. Sometimes they're 10 with scraped knees. Applause echoed. Monroe stepped up, ribbon in hand, knelt beside Rusty and pinned a medal to his collar. "For courage without command," she said. Rusty said, proud, tail wagging as Willa whispered, "He's smiling." The town stood together, not just for the girls or the dog, but for the reminder that strength lives in small acts, small hands, small choices. That day, Alder Glen rediscovered its heart. Yet storms do not check calendars. One late October evening, as Cinnamon lingered in the kitchen and the wind roared like an omen, Maris noticed Rusty's full food bowl untouched. Her heart sank. The twins had gone to the forest's edge, they said, to look around, nothing more. But the storm hit fast. Deep in red leaf, Willa and June huddled beneath gnarled roots, soaked and freezing. Rusty crouched beside them, growling low. They'd stumbled across voices. Men speaking in clipped tones, armed and searching. "Those girls saw something," one had said. The girls fled. Now they clung to each other, breath white in the cold, heartbeats frantic. Rusty growled again. Then a snap, a branch. Closer. Willa whispered, "If something happens, run." "I'm not leaving you," June replied, gripping her sister tight. And then figures. 2 men. Flashlights sweeping. Rusty exploded forward, a blur of fury and teeth. One man went down. The other swung a metal pipe. Rusty yelped but didn't stop, drawing them away from the girls like a loyal shadow daring death. Moments later, headlights pierced the dark. Cole and Monroe crashed through the storm in their 4x4, wind howling, trees cracking. They'd gotten Maris's call. Girls missing. Forest edge. Cole didn't wait for the vehicle to stop before bolting into the woods, flashlight swinging, weapon ready. "Willa! June!" he shouted into the downpour. A small voice answered, "Here." Monroe reached them first, pulling June into her arms. Cole gathered Willa close. "You're safe now." And then they heard a whimper. Rusty stumbled from the trees, blood streaking his flank. He made it to the girls, wagged his tail once, and collapsed. They screamed his name. Cole scooped him up. "He's hurt bad." At the animal hospital, Dr. Martha Liu, calm, efficient, eyes steady, worked through the night. "If he makes it to morning, he'll live," she said. Wrapped in blankets, huddled on the floor, Willa whispered, "I thought Mom would give up on us. Sell her rings?" "We don't need rings," June replied. "Just her. And Rusty." Cole sat nearby, silent, tears on his cheeks for the family he never had, and the one blooming right in front of him. Time passed, and so did the storm. The forest shed its final leaves, and sun touched Alder Glen again. A sign above the market booth read, "Crumbs and crusts." Pastries lined trays, and laughter danced with the scent of brown sugar and cinnamon. Maris, apron dusted with flour, stood tall behind the counter. She wasn't without worries, but now they had edges softened by hope. Willa and June, red beanies pulled low, handed out napkins while Rusty, bandaged and proud, lay beneath the table. The town came not just for muffins, but for something more. Across town, Cole stood on a new stage, launching a life-saving program in honor of the twins. "Courage looks like scraped knees," he said. The room applauded. Monroe pinned another medal, this time to Rusty, "For a heart braver than most men." And the dog sat like royalty, tail thumping in contentment. The Fairweathers returned home that night, 5 strong now. 3 humans, 1 heroic dog, and a sourdough starter named Gutsy. Cole had a place on the family chore chart. His square read, dishwasher and storyteller. That night, Monroe handed Cole a small cassette, dusted and forgotten from the department archives. It was his father's voice on the tape, low and resolute. "If you're hearing this, I didn't make it out. But son, always choose what's right, even if it costs you." No one spoke after. The weight of legacy filled the room. Later, the girls sat on the porch, knees hugged to their chests, Rusty between them. "Do you think we really saved someone?" Willa asked. June looked up at the stars. "I think we saved more than one." Rusty wagged his tail in silent agreement. And maybe they did, because sometimes miracles aren't fire trucks or angels. Sometimes they're muddy boots, a wounded dog, and 2 small hands that refuse to walk away. Courage doesn't wait for permission. Love doesn't need a bank account. And in the stormiest moments, kindness remains the loudest answer. If you believe that too, share this story, because someone out there is waiting for proof that good still wins. Maybe courage is just doing the right thing when no one's watching. Maybe miracles wear muddy boots and come wrapped in cinnamon and bark. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs a reminder. Goodness still lives in this world. And remember, stay kind, stay brave, and never stop choosing what's right, even when it's hard.